Hey, this is your girl Mimi West with AwakenedNotWoke, and I know it's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without some truth to step to. And since we've been gone, boy, has there been a lot of truth bombs dropping. So let's get into those because I'm sure you heard about shots being fired. But do you know where your kids are? And if you do you know what they're doing? Let's answer that question and so many more because I want to know if your news told you about these things. Let's get into them. Let's find out and let's see. Okay, and let's get started. We start off our first story with Kenya. Kenya is announcing, or they already announced rather, in May that they are fully on course for a digital rollout. And I'm sure it's looking kind of strange over here. But hey, we are doing what we can do. This is citizenshiprightsinafrica.org. So this is a local paper. And we're just going to kind of skim through here and see what it says. It says, Kenyans have been assured that their data is safe as the government moves to introduce a third generation digital ID card. And the title of this, I'm sure you can see it. It says, if you can't see it, it says Kenya Digital ID Rollout on Course. So let's get back into this article because some of the language is a little strange. Immigration and Citizenship Services Cabinet Secretary Julius Bidock said that the government is complying with all regulations and legal framework required to ensure Wanachi's data is safe and secure. I hope I said that correctly, but as I'm reading this, I am reminded of First Thessalonians for when they say safety and security. Some says peace and safety. Soon comes sudden destruction as travail upon a woman. But let's get back into this because he's saying that you guys are going to be safe and secure in Kenya if you get on the digital sphere. Now, this has been going on for a long time, uh, even since COVID, with the MasterCard linking up with Africa in order to kind of track movement or reward Africans, rather. But let's get back into this. Speaking today during the Network of Africa Data Protection Authorities, or NADPA, NADPA, we'll call it that, conference deliberation on digital ID and the role of data protection authorities in Africa, the PS said that the government has been able to conduct more than 10 data impact protection assessments for the digital ID with the support from the Office of the Data Commissioners. We are not doing anything against the law. Why would he say that? This is Bitak. We are not doing anything against the law. We are doing everything possible to ensure that we stick to the law as far as ensuring data is protected, he added. Also, Bidock explained that the government is in the process of rolling out digital ID for all Kenyans, transitioning from the old digital generation ID to the third generation ID, confirming that no one will be discriminated on the account of not being able to acquire one. Well, why would they be discriminated against if you didn't invent it? There'd be no need for discrimination if it wasn't there. See how that works? I want to assure I want to assure the country that we are putting mechanisms in place to ensure that we have a smooth transition from the old generation ID to the new digital ID, which is a third generation ID, and to that no Kenyan will be discriminated against. And it kind of goes on from there. I did want to read this part because I thought this was very, very interesting. Um, they were saying something about newborns that are going to be born are going to have this card attached to them. I'm unable to kind of get to that right now. because there is a lot in this article. But the card is going to be called the Maisha ecosystem card, and it's going to involve a number, kind of like a social security card number, excuse me. And instead of carrying the physical card, you can carry it on your phone, and you'll be able to enjoy services using your phone. So this could perhaps be what every conspiracy theorist friend of yours talked about, or this may be just new business or new world orders. I don't know. You can make up your mind and see for yourself in this article. Let's get into the next story. All right, and let's get into our second story. As you can see, we are right here at Radio Slovakia International because it looks like back in May, Slovakia turned down the pandemic treaty by the WHO. You know, who are they trying to tell people what to do? Well, they thought they were someone that can come in with Mr. Tedros and join Slovakia and try to get them to sign that treaty. Let's read it and let's see. It says Peter Kotor, the Slavic government, I'm not even going to pretend to say that word, for the C-19 pandemic, informed that Slovakia would not support the current version of the new pandemic treaty or the draft amendment to the international health regulations. The health ministry noted that it would not support any documents weakening Slovakia's position as a sovereign state. Kotler also had a meeting with the WHO chief Tedros, who stated that he respected the decision of Slovakia's republic, but also encouraged the search for a possible way to reach an agreement. So it goes on from there to say representatives of the 194 WHO member countries have been meeting in Geneva since April 29th to seek a consensus on a draft treaty on the prevention, preparation, and response to future pandemics. Okay, so with that, they said no, but seems to be a big coincidence because speaking of shots fired, like we were saying earlier, it looks like there's a huge coincidence that happened with the Prime Minister of Slovakia. Let's get into that story and let's see. And in astonishing coincidence news, let's get into this. This is the Prime Minister of Slovakia. He's given a speech. This is back in June. He's been seen since then, walking around and, you know. But this is an article from Reuters that I'm sorry, AP, that I'm reading from when he was released from the hospital. And it's saying that the Prime Minister for Slovakia was released from the hospital where he was treated after an assassination attempt that happened May 15th. Now, as we were reading in that previous article, Tedros visited him May 9th, and by May 15th, he was enduring an assassination attempt. So that is just the craziest coincidence in the world. It goes on in here to say that he's recovering from multiple. He was recovering, and I suppose he still is recovering from multiple wounds after being shot in the abdomen as he greeted supporters on May 15th in the town of Handlova, about 140 kilometers northeast of the capital of Bratislava. The video showed him approach people gathered at barricades and reach out and shake the hand as a man stepped forward, extended his arm, and fired 5 rounds before being tackled and arrested. So since then, he has been released. He's been seen walking around. This video here shows him giving. This video here shows him giving a speech about the assassination attempt, but it seems like shots are being fired a lot. So let's get into it with a little more because shots been fired around this way too. All right, and we're getting into the next one because I'm sure you heard about all the indictments. I'm sure you heard that it's think I heard it's getting dropped or it has been dropped. But what about them showers? Because I'm not gonna say it, but you can see it. I'm gonna let you. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna let you read it. We are on the westernjournal.com because the story seems to have been scrubbed or something from other platforms, even though it has to do with someone's personal thoughts. So let's get into that. Okay, and I'm sure you guys can see that right there, what it says. Um, let's go ahead and I want you guys to see what that says. Okay, all right. Now, I'm over at MSN.com because a lot of websites have been saying that this doesn't confirm or deny, but in her own words, it says Mr. B's daughter, Ashley B., admits her diary entries are real in court letter. Showers with dad. Okay, so that's what it's all about. I'm sure that you can read that over there. Sure, after much speculation, Ashley B has reportedly claimed her controversial diary in a court filing, and the details inside the journal are shocking. Ashley made headlines after she accused her father of inappropriate as sexual behavior at a young age in a diary which was stolen from her Florida home in 2020 and published online. Now, this is on MSN.com. You know, we can't get into this stuff right here, over here, and a lot of platforms. So I hope that if you're interested, you'll take some time to look into it yourself. Let's get into the next one. Okay, and dad's shooting their shot. It seems that a lot's going on, but do you know where your children are? And if you know where they are and they're in their room, do you know what they're doing in their room? Because we are right here at the Intercept, and we're just going back a little bit to July 31st of 2023, and it's saying after his mother asked for help, Phoebe terrorism sting targets mentally ill teen. She said two Phoebe informants groomed her son. They waited until the day after his 18th birthday to spring their trap. Now, there is more in this article, and it's very interesting. This young man was autistic, and it's kind of funny to see right here, but if you want to take a look at this article for yourself, it's at The Intercept. We're going to go right along because we're not done yet. Like I said, we are not done because we are right here at the peoplesvoice.tv. This is a local newsletter or local media outlet. But it says here, parents catch Phoebe in plot to force mentally ill son to be right-wing terrorist. So you can peruse this for yourself. Let's see, there is the young man. It says the parents of a severely mentally disabled man have defied mainstream media and bravely spoken their truth about how the Phoebe recruited and groomed him as a right-wing terrorist, knowing he's diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. All right. So this is taken on May of 2022. Do you notice something? Notice that these boys all seem to have something in common. Okay, well, we are not done. There's a couple more. Okay, because right now, it's not very clear. I know, I do apologize, but this is a screen capture that I caught back in the day, a couple of years ago, not too long ago, maybe around the pandemic, but you can see what it says. It says the shooter, had a car licensed to Dane County Sheriff Department. Why are all of these organizations that are supposed to protect us, why do they seem to keep getting involved with these young 18-year-old uh, men who are boys, kids, teens? Why are they getting involved with these young teens? You remember with this story here, this guy supposedly was scared of the sound of a vacuum or scared of the sound of fireworks or something like that. Yet he loved letting off rounds. I don't know. This is it's not really adding up to me. Not to mention, we don't have one single solitary shred of evidence that this guy really existed. I mean, they have pictures, but according even to the White House, there are deep fakes and there are cheap fakes. Because for those of you who may be a little confused and not understand how something like this can take place. This right here, this is, if you lived in LA, you may have had a hand in getting a couple dollars or two doing some work like this, but this is Crowds on Demand. And it says your home for protests, rallies, audiences, PR stunts, and celebrity events. Are you looking to create a buzz anywhere in the United States? At Crowds on Demand, we provide our clients with protest rallies, flash mobs, paparazzi events, and other um, inten- inventive PR stunts. Excuse me, it's pretty small. These services are available across the country in every major U.S. city. Every major U.S. metro area, and even most smaller cities as well. We provide everything, including the people, the materials, the materials, you heard that right, and even the ideas. So if you need a good spin on something, or you need to find a crowd, they're people who are willing to get paid money in order to be a part of this event, and there are companies who are willing to pay people for such events. So, if you want to know how something like this can happen, right there, you see how it can happen. Okay, and if you want to know how some people can be activated, um, a lot of people are, especially during the pandemic, got back into reading. I suggest people dig in. Shout out to Unplug 'em for reading Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon by Dave McGowan. It is a very good read. Talks about how rock and roll players from agent and government assets, they're related. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of entertainers that you probably like who are related. Now you know why. All right. And shout out to these poor kids who are being turned into some sort of Manchurian type of assets. Also, a good book to read would be Chaos as well as Program to Kill. Program to Kill is also by Dave McGowan. Chaos, not very sure, but you can look that up. It goes into everything from these alphabet letter organizations and these rock stars as well to even people like Manson. So these are some good reads to understand the world that we've been living in and what we've been seeing going on, and maybe how some of it may have been scripted. All right. And our last story, speaking of shots fired, did they fire you because you didn't get a shot? By the government so that pharmaceutical giants don't have to come out all that money. No, that's going to be left for the taxpayers. Now, after we wrapped up, I want to know if your news told you about all the things we discussed. Now, I am being facetious, like I told you in a video. That was far and few in between, but yes, the question is still begged. Did your news tell you about these things? Now, I'm getting them from media outlets, so of course, news is telling us about it, but are they being vocal? So that's where the question is begged. So I want to thank you for joining me. I hope you come back. I will be back sooner rather than later. I promise. I hope to see you again. Thanks for joining me if you made it this far. Shout out to that girl Casey. Shout out to Irene Britt. Shout out to Deja Noah. Shout out to Unplug 'em. Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to the Cartier family and everybody out there who is fighting the power. All right. And using their own brains to do so. Peace.